Thank you all for being here today to commemorate the life of Joel Peterson. Let me first say how very hard this is for me. Please bear with me as I try to get through this. I had to write down my thoughts because I have so many emotions welling up inside me right now. First of all, I'm still in shock at the sudden loss of my best friend. It's really very tough for me to accept that this is reality, and I just don't want to believe that Joel's gone. I'm also so angry that Joel's been taken from me, taken from all of us. He was way too young, and this was way too soon. Joel and I had a lot of plans for sailing together, for watching our kids grow up together, for so many years, full of good times. This is really so unfair. But most of all, I'm sad. I'm the saddest I've ever been. Mere words cannot express how much I'm going to miss Joel. I honestly thought we had so much more time. Losing Joel earlier this week has been all so surreal. This is really surreal for me. Joel and I, we've been sailing together for the past 20 years. We've logged literally thousands of good miles together on so many different racing boats. When I first met Joel in the mid-1990s, he had just moved to California, and he wanted to get into sailboat racing on San Francisco Bay. And I had just bought my Olsen 30 Run Wild, and I was looking for racing crew. From the very first practice session on Run Wild, Joel enthusiastically dedicated himself to learning as much as possible, to constantly improving, to doing his best at whatever role in the crew he was working. Over those 8 years of sailing together on Run Wild, Joel became a master of every single crew position on the boat, from the mast man to the foredeck, to eventually growing into absolutely, without a doubt, one of the best trimmers with a spinnaker ever. Through all those years of racing 3 or 4 weekends every month, I gained immense respect for Joel's sailing abilities. But more importantly than that, we became truly inseparable friends. Joel was absolutely the most consistent crew, and he never missed a race. When I sold my Olsen 30 in 2004, Joel and I continued to sail together on many other racing boats. There's way too many to mention all of them here, but for the sailors in the room, here are just a few. Of course, there was the legendary Zamazan, the gold-molded Bar 52 Ocean Sled. There was the Veneto 40.7 Phantom Mist. There was the Santa Cruz 50 Emily Carr. We had great ocean racing with Emily Carr and the great crew, as Dan was mentioning earlier. Then there was the IOR Warhorse, Far 40, Audacious. There was the Andrews 56 Sapango, lots of ocean racing on that big boat. There were numerous Melkus 24s, lots of different Etchels. And most recently, we've been racing my little Open 5.7 together for the past 3 years. I remember all these boats and many more that we raced on together. And I remember most of the races too. Joel and I have seen each other through many tough situations, many dangerous, life-threatening situations. We always had each other's backs. We had so many great times together, Joel and I. And I have so many wonderful memories to cherish. Here are just a few Joel stories that I want to share today. On the first Delta Ditch run that Joel and I ever did on Run Wild, we ran aground in Suisun Bay near the Mothball Fleet. The wind was blowing really strongly. The boat was heeled over, and the keel was dragging through the mud. The mast was almost horizontal. So I walked out on the mast onto the upper spreaders. Now mind you, it all happened so quickly that I hadn't clipped on a safety harness or a bosun's chair. So when the boat finally righted herself and stood up straight, kept on sailing, Joel looked around and he didn't see me anywhere. He got all worried and he asked the rest of the crew, "Where's Dale? Did he fall overboard? We gotta get Dale." Right at that exact moment, I lost my grip and I fell right on top of Joel's head. Nobody was hurt, so we just kept on racing. I will also never forget the Coastal Cup race in 2001 from San Francisco to Santa Barbara. On the evening of the first night, Joel was trimming the spinnaker beside me. There's a picture right up there, not that one, but another one with just me and Joel, and that's taken from that race.
Right there.
Yeah, and I was driving, and we were about 70 miles off Point Sur and surfing down some really big waves, about 15-foot swells, and about 25 knots of wind. For all you non-sailors, this means we were seriously hauling ass. After the sunset and the stars were coming out, Joel asked me if we were going to keep the spinnaker up all night. I said, hell yes. And I started to hum The Ride of the Valkyries by Wagner. Then I yelled, dude, right now we are defying the gods. Joel turned around and looked at me and said, I just maybe wouldn't say it so loudly right now. I don't want to piss them off. In the middle of the ocean. We both had a great laugh at that, and we went on to win our division. On another Coastal Cup race at Santa Barbara, Joel was down below sleeping soundly, snoring away as only Joel could do, when salt water from waves caused the electrical system to short out and short circuit, and it caught the battery and cables on fire. The cabin filled with smoke, and I managed to get down below and put the fire out in just a couple minutes. So, no damage. About an hour later, Joel came up on deck in his long johns, all worried, and said, I smelled smoke. Is the boat on fire? Nah, dude, you slept through the whole thing. I put it out over an hour ago. Go back to sleep. Okay. That was our Joel. More recently, in 2013, Joel and I raced double-handed in Delta Ditch Run from here to Stockton on my Open 5.7. This race starts in the bay near Berkeley and goes all the way up the San Joaquin Delta to Stockton. We started this epic adventure around 9 a.m., and because it was later, we finished after midnight. Joel jived the spinnaker by himself 129 times, and I have the GPS track to prove it. It was just this type of epic adventure that Joel and I love to do together as often as possible. On long races like these, Joel and I would often retell some of our old stories, and there are hundreds of them, about past adventures and past yacht club parties and all the racing we did. And I honestly thought we'd still be doing exactly that for many more decades to come. Joel was very passionate about everything he did, every single thing. He loved sailing, he loved scuba diving, especially with his friends James and Holly. He loved to barbecue on his Rectech grill, and he was a master. He loved working at MetLife, and he mentioned this to me quite often. Joel was also a huge fan of the Denver Broncos, and right now I'm still at a loss for what that's about. We'll let him slide on that. So this weekend, as an example of his being a fan of the Broncos, well, the Broncos were playing the Steelers, and we were actually out racing, and he was getting it recorded on his DVR. We were racing the Corinthian Midwinters, and he made sure all of our phones had to be turned off during the race so that nobody could get any messages or reports about how the game was going. And then when we got back to the harbor, when we put the boat on our trailer, I offered to go to the yacht club and buy us beers and hang out, and Joel wouldn't even go near the yacht club for fear someone might be talking about how the Broncos were doing. He wanted to wait until he got home to his own VCR, his DVR, his own remote, his own beer, his own family. That was our Joel. He was true to the core. He was the definition of a real friend. He was a very rare and genuine person that you just don't find in this world. And I know how truly fortunate I was to have him in my life. And now he's gone. And I know I have to eventually accept that fact. So I take it day by day, I take it breath by breath, and step by step. In honor of Joel and the memories of Joel that each of us carries with us, we need to talk about him. We need to share these memories so that Joel will live on through all of us. And most of all, we need to live our lives, do what we love, with people we love. That's what Joel would have wanted. This past Saturday, he actually said to me, I don't want my gravestone to say, Joel Peterson, he worked hard. I want it to say, he lived life to the fullest. And Francis, I want you to know that Joel was so happy to have you as his loving wife. He really loved you. And he told me how lucky he felt to have a family with you. My commitment to you, Francis, is to do whatever I can to help you as Zachary and Sailor. I want you to know that I accept the responsibility that comes with my words. I also consider myself one of the keepers of the memories of Joel. So as Zachary and Sailor grow up, I want to make sure they know who their father was and just how much he meant to me. Joel, you were the definition of a loyal friend. You were dedicated and devoted to me. Thank you so much for being in my life. I love you, and I will miss you forever. So, we sailors have a tradition that goes way back. It's known as the 8 bells. It represents the changing of the on-deck watch. It's also the way we pay homage to a fallen friend and a fallen sailor. So now, please remain silent and remember Joel while I ring 8 bells in honor of my best friend and sailing buddy, Joel Peterson.